Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a psychological theory about dating that is frankly a little brutal but absolutely fascinating. We all like to think love is this magical, totally unpredictable force. But what if there's actually a rigorous science to who we end up with? Let's decode the invisible algorithm of human attraction. Picture this. You're walking down the street and you spot a severely mismatched couple. You know exactly the ones I'm talking about. And you immediately think, wait, how did he pull her? Or what on earth is he doing with him? We really love the romantic myth that personality conquers all, right? That if you're just funny or confident enough, you can land absolutely anyone. But getting to the bottom of this phenomenon relies on one crucial question. Is love truly blind, or is your brain constantly running a hidden algorithm? Well, let's look at the data.
Part 1. The Invisible Dating Scale. Decoding Romantic Destiny.
So, beneath all the romance and poetry, human psychology actually hides a pretty cold, calculating truth that dictates your dating life before you even say hello. It's called the matching hypothesis, proposed by sociologists Elaine Hatfield back in 1966. It basically suggests that we are primarily attracted to and form long-term relationships with partners who strictly match us in social attributes, especially physical attractiveness. Whether you realize it or not, your brain is constantly calculating your own marketplace value against the person across the room. It's literally weighing the exact probability of acceptance against the incredibly painful risk of rejection.
Which brings us to Part 2, the computer dance experiment at the University of Minnesota in 1966.
Let's dive into this incredible experiment to see just how deep this subconscious programming really goes. Look at that number, 752. This was a massive, real-world experiment disguised as a freshman welcome dance. Hatfield and her team took 752 first-year students and flat-out tricked them. They told these freshmen that a state-of-the-art computer algorithm was going to match them with their perfect date for the evening, based entirely on their personality and shared interests.
But here's the twist, and it brilliantly shows how sneaky this study was. The researchers completely threw out those personality questionnaires, ignored them entirely. Instead, as the students bought their tickets, a secret panel of judges rated each student's physical attractiveness on a strict 1 to 10 scale. Then, the researchers just matched the students completely at random. They sent these totally random, secretly rated couples off to dance and socialize for the evening just to see what would happen.
So, what did the data actually show? Well, during the dance, the short-term results showed that everyone overwhelmingly preferred and desired the most physically attractive dates. They completely ignored their own rating. Human nature is simple. Initially, we just want the absolute best. But look at the long-term results here. Months later, only the couples who were perfectly matched on that secret 1 to 10 scale actually pursued a second date and stayed together. Those wildly mismatched, random couples, they almost never made it. The invisible algorithm was clearly at work.
Part 3, Fear, Rejection, and Equity, the Driving Forces of Attraction.
Now, you might naturally be wondering, why don't we all just relentlessly pursue the most attractive people on the planet until someone finally says yes? Well, it comes down to two powerful psychological forces. First up is the fear of rejection. Our brain's survival instinct hates pain, and rejection actually causes literal, measurable pain in the human brain. So, to protect our ego, we naturally aim for a realistic, achievable target. If you realistically rate yourself a 6, walking up to a 10 triggers a massive risk calculation of public humiliation. The second force is the search for equity. Human relationships operate kind of like a psychological economy. Both partners genuinely need a balanced trade-off to feel a true sense of stability and comfort. These two forces build into what psychologists call the imbalance effect. When there's a massive mismatch in attractiveness, the relationship's psychological economy basically crashes. Think about it. The more attractive partner starts to feel like they're settling, and subconsciously, they keep their eyes open for better options. Meanwhile, the less attractive partner is experiencing intense anxiety, jealousy, and this constant nagging fear of being abandoned. Matching up on that invisible scale creates an unspoken emotional equilibrium. It prevents that intense anxiety and provides essential emotional safety for both people.
Let's move to Part 4, the numbers game phenomena, the forehead experiment.
Let's test this in a controlled setting to see these mechanics in action. Researchers set up this modern lab experiment to mimic the dating market, and it's chaotic in the best way. Here are the rules. Step 1, a sticky note with a number from 1 to 10 is slapped on your forehead. Step 2, you can see everyone else's number, but absolutely not your own. And Step 3, you have to pair up with the highest number possible to win points in the game. Imagine the stakes here. Everyone in the room is frantically trying to score the best partner possible, but they are flying totally blind about their own perceived value.
And this setup brilliantly illustrates the brutal social calibration that instantly takes place. Look at this breakdown. The people who randomly received a 10 on their forehead were instantly mobbed by crowds. Because of this insanely high demand, they quickly realized their worth, they became highly selective, and they frequently rejected others. But look down at the bottom row. The 1s and 2s were universally ignored. Every single time they approached someone, they were immediately brushed off. It is harsh, for sure, but it perfectly mirrors real-world social dynamics.
But here is the incredible twist of the experiment. Within literally 10 to 15 minutes, without anyone ever telling them what their number was, participants naturally sorted themselves into exact matching pairs. Through a rapid, chaotic feedback loop of who accepted them and who rejected them, the 8s found the 8s and the 5s found the 5s. They completely and accurately deduced their own market value just by reading the room's reactions. It's wild how fast our brains do this math.
Which brings us to part 5, the loophole. Compensating assets, or complex matching.
Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. You're probably picturing incredibly wealthy older men with young supermodels, or an average-looking rock star with a stunning partner. How does the matching hypothesis explain those super obvious exceptions to the rule? Well, the answer is a loophole known as compensating assets, or complex matching. It's the psychological process of trading alternative valuable resources to balance the scales of equity when physical attractiveness is mismatched. It basically reframes relationships as an economic exchange. Physical beauty is a very powerful currency, absolutely, but it's not the only currency you can carry. So what are these alternative currencies? We're talking about wealth and financial security, social status, fame or power, extreme intelligence or undeniable talent, even high emotional intelligence and a killer sense of humor. When a multimillionaire marries a supermodel, the matching hypothesis actually isn't broken. It's working perfectly. They are simply trading different currencies to balance that psychological equation. Both partners feel they've made an equal trade, which maintains the necessary equity for the relationship to survive. However, there is a critical fragility to all of this. If those compensating assets fade, say the wealth disappears or the fame vanishes overnight, the psychological imbalance immediately returns. Suddenly, the equity is completely gone, the safety is compromised, and the relationship frequently falls apart. It really cements the idea that continuous equity is absolutely required for things to last.
Finally, our conclusion: the truth about true love. Harmony, safety, and symmetry.
So what's our ultimate takeaway here? After looking at all this data, is romance completely transactional? Is true love literally just a series of cynical mathematical equations calculated by our brains? Well, not exactly. The data might seem a bit cold, but the reality is actually quite comforting. The matching hypothesis reveals that human beings fundamentally seek harmony and safety. We look for mirrors of ourselves because asymmetry breeds deep insecurity. Our evolutionary psychology isn't trying to punish us, it's simply trying to keep us emotionally safe, secure, and protected from the pain of a hopelessly mismatched partnership.
I absolutely love this quote. The most successful relationships are built between two people who feel like true equals. You see, understanding this dynamic doesn't make you cynical. It gives you total clarity over social dynamics. It highlights exactly why confidence is so attractive, and it proves the incredible power of self-improvement. Because when you invest in your own assets, whether that's your fitness, your emotional intelligence, or your career, you literally change the tier of people you naturally align with.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Do you actually agree with the matching hypothesis? Or do you think a genuinely great personality can completely break the physical scale? Reflect on your own experiences, take a look at the couples around you, and let me know your perspective. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the fascinating science behind why we do what we do.